It's impossible to be in this region of the world, we'll call it, and around guns without having some conversations about spycraft. So for the next portion of this series, let's show you some proper spycraft guns. Okay guys, we are talking about the Welrod, almost Welrod series of pistols and related things today.
Before we get into that,
I mean, we are in a little bit of an exotic
location.
Environment. It is August right now, but we're also on top of a glacier. So it is brisk, and we like to think not the ugliest view that we have brought you guys on this channel. Couple quick thank yous. Shooting Surplus sponsoring the video. Code 1911 saves you 5%. Which, if you were gonna buy this region of the country and Shooting Surplus sold it, I'm gonna say that you would have to get 5% off of about $7 billion. Let's just say.
Which $911.3 million is what that would come out to.
I like it. So good deals, everybody.
Good deal.
What's happening over there? This is good deal.
That's good.
If you call them and place an order, please use that tone when you check it. This is good deal. Well,
real quick, this is just the highest point in Europe.
Well, not the highest point, but is the highest train station in Europe.
Oh, is that okay?
Yes, this is considered the top of Europe, even though it is not the technical top of Europe. But anyway, guys, let's get into it here. We'll save all the plugs and just start diving into this. So this is a really fun video to research. I don't believe that there's ever been a video that had the actual Welrod pistols with the VP9, which is a B&T pistol, with the Station 6, which is also the most current B&T pistol. So this was
trifecta.
Yeah, this was really cool, you know, and we had to sort of, you know, call in some favors and pull some strings, especially to get the Welrod, because that one was pulled out of personal collections from people that would have that kind of thing.
And thank you to those people.
Here's the deal. Let's just talk a little bit about each of those. Again, this is really not meant to be a review whatsoever. This is just meant to talk about some cool things that you don't see every day that are straight up from the world of espionage. So the Welrod was designed in World War II by the British SOE, which stands for Special Operations Executive. So think of that as their sort of intelligence service, their you know, CIA type counterpart.
NSA CIA counterpart.
Yeah. So they made about 2,800 during the war. And then reportedly there was about an order of about 14,000 that was placed. All of this gets to be a bit tough to track, as we will get into.
As stuff like that is. Because it's espionage related, right?
So these were meant for use by what would be called non-traditional forces. So as I understood it, special operations spies or resistance forces. So these were also used by the OSS, which is the Office of Strategic Services, which is the precursor to the CIA.
Very cool. Very cool.
Really, really cool stuff. So the goal of the Welrod was really kind of twofold. So number one was to be as quiet as humanly possible. Okay? To be absolutely as quiet as we could possibly make a pistol. Here's how they achieve that. One, so not that this is important to it, but it is magazine fed. But the only reason I say that is to say it is a magazine fed bolt action pistol.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is
single shot bolt action.
Very, very unique.
Yeah.
It's not semi-auto. It is a bolt action pistol. So part of where that crazy sound comes from is because there's no reciprocating mass.
Correct. There's no mechanical piece that is going clink clink during the cycling process.
And because there's no ejection port that is moving, there is no port pop.
Exactly.
Okay, so that allows it to be very, very quiet. It also has a integral suppressor, so a suppressor that is not threaded on. It is part of the gun.
The whole barrel system.
Yes. Yep. Within that, it also has a ported barrel. Okay, so
much like a SD type firearm?
Yes.
Okay.
So the effect that the Welrod winds up having is that it converts supersonic ammo into subsonic, right? Which means that it is also, for those of you that just don't shoot a lot of suppressed weapons, means that round is not cracking the sound barrier, which is where a lot of the sound comes from. So if you think of, well, where does the sound come from, even on a suppressed weapon? It's like, well, 223 is cracking the sound barrier, as is most 9mm. But also, again, the ejection port and the reciprocating mass, all that kind of stuff. So if you eliminate all of that...
kind of those points where all of that combines into a loud report.
You wind up with a very, very, very quiet weapon. Yep. On top of that, it also had an expansion chamber in the rear. And the suppressor was a combination of baffles and wipes, which is just crazy.
Stacking the odds for being as quiet as possible.
Especially to think that this is made in the 1940s, you know, so the wipes would be, for those of you not familiar with it, the wipe design, and this is going to also apply within the Station 6 and the VP9, which also have wipe suppressors available. Essentially the idea is that you have these little rubber discs, right? Yeah. And they're scored, even though I'm not sure if they're scored in the Welrod. But what's happening is that the bullet is actually shooting through the rubber, and the rubber sort of seals itself up after the round passes through.
It's like an X pattern.
Yeah.
Right? Round passes through, it opens up, and then collapses back in on itself.
Now, eventually that will get bored out on the Welrods.
Rubber meets metal.
Yeah,
right?
You know, eventually after about 10 or so rounds where the reports on the Welrods, you need to replace the wipes. But again, this is not a firearm. This is designed to get in firefights. It's a firearm that was designed to kill humans.
Correct.
Quietly, in the face. And that's just in the face. So it also had just a really cool feature, which is top ejection. There's no, and the reason for this is, so when you are going to exit or eject that round, what you wind up doing is you rotate the bolt, you pull it back, right? You cover it, right? You basically dump the round into your hand, pocket the round so no one knew that you were there, and you can chamber the next round.
Far easier for a right-handed shooter.
Yes.
Just because the manual of arms is a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's made for my people. But again, World War II, you guys probably weren't really too concerned with what the lefties needed.
Yep.
The second goal was for the Welrod to be as discreet as possible. Yeah. And so
this is one of the coolest points.
It's so cool. So the main way that they did that was the magazine is actually what becomes the grip. Yep. So when you remove the magazine, the Welrod was designed to sort of the thing that everyone always said was designed to look like a bicycle pump. So you remove the magazine and you look at it. Now, especially on the Mark II, which we'll talk about in a second, which has no trigger guard, you look at it and you go, it doesn't look like it looks like a pipe.
A tube or like a weird little miniature bicycle pump you see on road bikes.
Yeah, that could be, you could have that thing hanging out of your back pocket, and truthfully, and especially when you think about it historically, you go, look, over time we've become a lot more familiar with what a firearm looks like.
Yeah.
And back then, firearms culture is just
evolved.
I have to imagine that less people would look at that and go, oh yeah, that's clearly a gun. You just don't have the magazine in. I really think they could probably get away with it.
The idea is if you're like undercover, right, doing stuff in World War II in Nazi-occupied areas, that if you got stopped and someone was like, what is that? Yeah. Well, oh, it's a bicycle pump. Yeah. Right? And
now part of the, the unfortunate part of the Welrod story is there was a planned assassination attempt.
Correct.
And they dropped in some of the Welrods into, I believe it was Germany. to do assassination. I think it was one of the generals or something like that.
Yeah.
Plan gets spoiled, and apparently the human toll that was taken was pretty significant.
Substantial.
Which, of course, is the, not great part of the story there, but it is part of the historical account. What's also interesting about the Welrod is that there were no identifying marks.
Yeah.
So BSA, which stands for Birmingham Small Arms Company, was the manufacturer of these.
Yeah.
And they purposely made these with no identifying marks.
Yeah.
So there's no serial numbers. There's
No
nothing.
company logos, none of that stuff.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Now, you will see some of the Welrods, and to be honest, I screwed up and I forgot to look at the one that we had to see if it had marks on it.
Uh-huh. I kind of glanced, and it's just a straight pipe.
Well, that's really cool if that's the case. So if you would see Welrods that had markings on it, it's because that government agency, military, whatever it is, was adding those on. Did not come from the factory that way, and of course that's because it's designed to be a sterile pistol.
Correct.
This thing ever gets confiscated or found or whatever, we have no idea where this thing
Can't
came
trace
from.
it to anyone.
I can't trace it.
Any
It's
country,
an untraceable
none of that.
pistol.
Yeah.
Which again, just so wildly
cool.
And BSA confirmed that, after the fact. They confirmed, we didn't make these things with any marks.
Purposely.
Yeah. There's two models of the Welrod. There was the Mark II, which ironically was the first model, and that one was chambered in 32 ACP.
Yeah.
And also did not have a trigger guard. That's the one that we had.
Correct.
The other day, which is the OG. Without the trigger guard, obviously really tough to tell its gun, but apparently the 32 ACP was known to have not perform as desired.
Oh, really?
Which is a really interesting, when you hear performance issues and you think about what that implies, you just go, it didn't kill people as well as we need it to.
From people who were there that were doing
it's just such a fascinating way to say that it didn't kill people in the head well enough.
In a roundabout way.
It's wild. So they came out with the Mark I, which is ironically the second model, which was chambered in a 9mm and had a trigger guard, so it did look a little bit more like a pistol, but still had the removable magazine. That's a little on the Welrod, but now let's look at the BP9.
Yep.
A couple quick final thoughts on the Welrod before we jump into the BP9. The sights, there are actually sights on it. They were painted, just literally just painted to help with low light
stuff.
Low light, no light stuff. Obviously tritium, not really a thing back then.
No.
But the manual apparently also indicated that the pistol was best utilized in contact with the target.
And they kind of have a concave end to the firearm, so it can
really
be pushed up against something without affecting
and apparently the way that concave and the little texture around it is so that it doesn't slide when pressed against something. Which, again, I mean, you just think about the implications of this and you're like, it's wild.
Yeah.
The final thing that I'll highlight about the Welrod is how long the damn thing was used. So it extends from Welrod.
I almost didn't believe it.
To MACV-SOG in Vietnam, and apparently in the Balkans conflict, all the way through Desert Storm.
Cold War to Desert Storm.
Yeah. Which makes you just go, is there anything to really suggest that it's not being still used?
I mean,
that's kind of the wild card question.
Yeah.
Now, that would, of course, lead us into the BP9, which would, be a bit of a modern take on it. We'll kind of dive into it a bit. So the VP9 came about because a European agency came to B&T. Okay, so the VP9 is actually from B&T now.
Yep.
A European agency came to B&T and they said we need 25 very quiet pistols.
Very specific number.
Very quiet. We need 25 of them. And they needed them in like 3 months.
Yeah.
And so B&T's like, man, 3 months, it's pretty quick to design like a very, very quiet, like integrally suppressed pistol.
Yeah.
And so they looked at historical references. They found the Welrod, and they were like, well, why don't we kind of modernize that a little bit? And so they wound up making the 25 that got delivered, and to my understanding, they made an extra 5 for themselves. Just because, like, oh, well,
as you should.
Yeah, let's make another 5 just to hang on and have fun. Now, that said, the VP9, of course, stands for Veterinary Pistol 9. And so it's important to highlight that really the VP9 is, I like to think that the agency that requested it is a bunch of
farmers,
horse doctors, and farmers and things like that.
They get unruly livestock and...
Yeah, so the VP9 is primarily for if you know how goats jump on stuff?
Yeah, you're tired of the goat jumping on your car,
like
scratching the paint.
Goat and get off. And like the
horse breaks a leg
down, and And so that's really what the VP9 is for. It's not for any sort of human application. That would, of course, be ridiculous.
Not okay.
So the VP9 came out in 2014.
Relatively not long ago.
Yeah. And you know, so hey, maybe the Welrod is not used anymore because, I don't know, maybe some operators saw that the veterinary pistol could serve some of their needs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'm not on the ground.
I'm speculating.
Yeah, I'm in the mountains. I'm not down there doing the Lord's work. So, so here's the thing: the VP9 shares a lot of features and things. That, frankly, it works exactly like the Welrod. The magazine is removable. Now, it doesn't look like a bicycle pump anymore, but the magazine is removable, which is kind of a hallmark feature of it. But the bolt works the exact same way.
Same way. Quarter turn, pull back, forward, quarter turn.
Chambered in 9mm, not 32, of course. It does have a trigger guard. Still, you know, much like the Welrod has a grip safety. Kind of like a 1911. It's very
kind of cool.
Incredibly simple when you see it. Basically, when you depress it, it just clears this little bar. You know, this clears the safety out of the way, so the little bar can go back and set the gun off. It's really pretty neat. It does have a ported barrel, and it came. So these aren't really, the VP9s are not available anymore. The Station 6s, which we'll talk about momentarily, but the VP9s. Were not cleared for export to the U.S. So B&T USA did a run of like 250 of them that I think sold like very instantly, and they were like, you know, very expensive, obviously. But it came with 2 suppressors. So it came with a baffled can and an all-white suppressor.
Gosh, that's cool.
Which, you know, so we got to shoot the all-white suppressor, even though it was on the Station 6, but we got to shoot the all-white can. And so we talk a little bit about how quiet is this thing. Cameras can never properly do this justice. I'm sure you'll see a couple of clips here.
Yeah.
Cameras can't do it justice. When we threw on the wipe can, we're in a very small indoor range that's maybe
30 by 15 meters.
Yeah, you know, and right? So, I mean, very, very tiny
concrete
room.
Box.
And said, look, you know, let's gamble. Let's take our ears off for a round and just see, you know, indoors. I mean, I'm conscious of my hearing. You know, I'm not trying to blow my ears out. And so we were like, let's just try it. We took them off. And I mean, guys, the closest thing that I can compare it to, if right now, or if you give a good clap, like not like a real, like one of those, but like if you give a good clap where you are right now, it's the closest thing I can tell you what it sounds like.
We shot, what, 2 or 3 mags with no ears on.
Oh yeah, the whole time. And keep in mind, ever so slightly, it's going to keep getting louder because those wipes are going to be getting bored out. And it's like, look, after 20 to 30 rounds in that thing, still good to go. I was actually surprised the wipes lasted that long, to be honest. But it is... It's incredibly quiet. I mean, it'll blow your mind. I mean, it truly will blow your mind. It's the most quiet firearm going on. If you were to compare it to subsonic 22 suppressed, that's loud compared to this. Like it truly is. So it's pretty spectacular. But yeah, the thing came with 2 barrels, really cool. The problem with the VP9 was that it ran on SIG P225 mags. And they simply got exhausted.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's not a production. No, it was just not a production mag.
So I
understand. Like they just get the supply's gone. You know, so it's simply a supply issue. They're gone. So really, we had to transition to the Station 6, and we will talk a little bit about that. Okay, Station 6. This is the big finale one. So
coup de grace, if you will.
Station 6, modernized version of the Welrod and a little bit of the VP9 too. So very similar, same but different.
Same but different.
You know what I'm saying? So came out in 2019, and the biggest thing you notice when you put the VP9 and the Station 6 side by side, the Station 6 is a bit bigger. By about a third. The footprint gets a little bigger. So in terms of actually getting a grip on the gun, it is easier.
Much better.
The VP9 is...
My pinky's floating.
Well, I like it just because I like that compact.
100%.
You know, it's just really cool. But the Station 6 is a bit bigger. And probably the biggest difference is the magazine. So it runs on 9mm 1911 mags.
Single stack 9mm 1911.
Yeah. I think Wilson mags are like the ones that it ships with and recommended. We had a what was it? Metgar mag that was not cooperating with us at all. So the Wilson mag, I would, if you happen to get a Station 6, if you're in that small elite club, I would go for Wilson mags, not the Metgar, because the Metgar was just not feeding great. But the good news, mags are readily available, unlike the VP9.
Yeah.
So
one cool thing about that too is it's, I don't know if you're bringing this up, I might be jumping ahead, I'm sorry. It's pre-scored.
The grip, yeah.
So you insert your mag, get a little epoxy, and kind of epoxy it into that lower 2/3 of the mag, but it comes pre-scored for you to do that.
Yeah, so like if you want to cut your grip to do the OG kind of like look, you can. Like it's pre-scored, so it's like, hey, I don't know if you take a hacksaw to that bad boy or what you do. That's above my pay grade, but you can basically epoxy the mag to the grip, and you cut it off, and that way, hey, you can still take out the grip, and and that could have been stuff to do with like import. Would kind of be my guess.
That would make sense.
I would guess it has some import applications.
Makes it so you could clean mags too if you really needed to. Yeah. Not that they're going to get terribly dirty, but
Yeah, threw my back a little on that slip there.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Unless
you want me to hold this?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Barrel was not ported on the Station 6, so that's one of the big differences. And to my understanding, it came with the all-wipe suppressor. So it is, of course, you have to get a tack stamp to get the Station 6. Like, it comes with a suppressor, otherwise what's the point? So it comes with the wipe can, which, the bad news, wipes are regulated items, so I don't know how you go about getting more wipes.
But follow your local state and federal laws.
Yeah, follow all the laws, but ask around and I'm sure you'll figure it out. But you can also buy the training suppressor, which is the baffled one.
Yeah.
Because truthfully, as amazing as the wipe one is, you're not going to want to shoot that like all the time just because of the wipes.
No, difficult to source. Like,
it's
where
like,
baffle,
it's like
throw some water in there or ultrasonic gel, and you will get very similar results.
Sure.
I learned that from someone at B&T.
Interesting.
So very cool.
Yeah. So I would get the training suppressor so you can play with that most of the time, and your friends will think it's really cool. And then when you're taking out like some like Perfect 10 model on a date, and you're like, you want me to show you how cool it can be, then you throw on the wipe suppressor. Or if we get invaded by someone and you like really need to like...
You get recruited into the NSA, CIA.
Yeah. So it's like you're either trying to impress Hot Girl or you actually have to go assassinate someone. Either way,
correct.
Throw on the wipe suppressor. That would be what we recommend.
Hello.
But yeah, and then the last thing there, the Station 6 does have 1/2x28 threads.
Yeah.
So I would, and I'm not saying this because, we're as a guest in B&T in Switzerland right now, don't get another suppressor for this, guys. Like, it's an insult to the gun. Yeah. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to throw on a whatever can because it's 1/2x28. Like, no, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, you should be running B&T cans. Like, run the proper suppressors on this thing. Do yourself a favor. But, I mean, this was a cool video because, we get to take a glimpse behind a curtain of
part of history,
espionage, and like, hey, these are things that exist and they were designed to do specific purposes. And it's like, it's just cool to go, you hear of things like these James Bond things that exist, but you go, no, it's right there.
And we're probably in a category of a single-digit percentage of people that have been able to lay our hands on all three.
Yeah, especially the original, like the original Mark II. I mean, like, holy cow.
Very cool opportunity. One of those core memory moments.
Oh man, very, very cool moment.
Yeah.
Very cool. And to combine all three of these into one sitting and one set of footage and everything, I don't believe has ever been done. It's just cool to go, wow, this is sort of the lineage of these things right here.
Progression.
I mean, this is really, really just cool to see from kind of a memory standpoint. So guys, we will leave you with it. Like I said, this video is not meant to be a review or anything like that. It's just talking about some cool historical stuff. We'll go move on with our day now and maybe go tackle one of the Alps. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Climb a glacier.
Fondue. We'll see. So hope you guys are doing well at home. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.